hear the E? Yeah? Okay? Can you hear that? You hear that I push a D, but actually it sounds like an E. Listen. It comes after a few seconds. You hear the E? It's amazing, yeah? And it's all the I didn't play an E, yeah, of course. Yeah? So, it means inside these intervals, we basically have everything, because it's very natural. Yeah? If nature is our idea, then of course this interval is the best one to choose. Yeah? Because of course if I play you now a third, just for you, for your knowledge, look, you will not hear anything. It's always a C. Yeah? There is never a D or something that comes out of it. So, we're back to it. Now philosophically, this is the tonal, this is our tonica, let's call it like that, the first. Then we have our dominant. So what Mahlers says, basically, he says that my theme of the symphony are two opposite components, a question and an answer. Yeah? The question and the answer. They are actually one, yeah? Like everything in life, basically. It's actually a one thing. And they hold inside all the magic and all the things that are inside these intervals. So it's the answer and it is the question. But actually it's about the process. It's about the interval. Now if we just jump for a second to the other piece in our concert, we have Berg, which actually is exactly the opposite thinking, because in Berg it's about the absolute note. The note is important, not the interval. Yeah? It's another philosophical approach. And Mahler says, no, or not yet no, because Berg did not actually speak to him, but he does think to himself, no. It's about the intervals. It's about the distance between things. It's about the distance between ideas and how to somehow bring it together. And this distance, actually, we read it in the beginning when we talked about the sky and the earth. Yeah? And if you think about the first phrase in the Bible, who knows that? You know, please. Yeah. So the first phrase in the Bible, of course, God, or whatever you want, created sky and earth. So what did he create, actually? It's not about the sky and the earth. He created what is in between. Yeah? And this is what Mahler does. And why does he start the symphony with such a big distance? And why does he finish the symphony with such a big, like you said, with 3 and 4 and 5 octaves? And it's all around this small interval. So actually, every time now when we're going to play this interval, you understand it's not the same anymore, yeah? It's not about the bird, or it's not about nature, it's about everything, yeah? Because everything is inside, basically is inside this interval. All the music, all the ideas. And now let's go, we can put now all the papers, but it's actually about all this symphony. First movement, second movement, third movement. It's all about this interval. And I just find it amazing that the composer could create such a philosophical musical word from 2 notes. And then if you go back now to his search of a home, this is basically the best home, because I'm sure the sky is for sure there, for sure there, we have for sure an earth. So I'm somewhere in between. This could be my home. Austria is not his home. He's not really Jewish. He doesn't really understand where does he belong. And some tragedies will occur to him also in his personal life. So things are not really great. But nature would probably never somehow disappear. There is a little bit space here if you want. Some people can get closer if they want. You want to come here? We have some space. Okay. You can come here if you want to stay. So, when we spoke about this idea to do this workshop, I thought it's actually a good opportunity, because first of all, as a conductor, it almost never happens that you can really share all of your ideas on a symphony or on a historical situation. It's normally basically eventually translated to forte piano, slower, faster, but not really more than that. And especially when we have this kind of opportunity with younger people, with more experienced people, and we can really maybe share something together. Because this Mahler symphony, of course, brings to the table a huge amount of subjects, yeah? From historical subjects, philosophical subjects, social subjects. We have a lot of things here we can speak about if we want. Besides the dry, analytical moment that we will have to really make the piece clear, maybe a little bit clearer, let's say, from the structure point of view. First World War, Second World War. And you will see, I will not say this more than now, but you will see that we have, unfortunately, a lot of similarities. Yeah? Things that has to do with nationalism, that had to do with personal identity, which had to do with a lot of things that we are unfortunately still, you know, I saw this woman, did you see this few months ago or over a year, that demonstrated in America against something against, of course, in favor of women's rights, and she held this note and she said, I can't believe I'm still here, you know, like demonstrating against that. So unfortunately we will have some things that have a lot of similarities, but this you're going to do alone. We're going to speak about a lot of other things. So first of all, maybe we can just start with some kind of a short historical background. Yeah, and this was the main force in Europe. Okay, really the main force in Europe. Some were more happy. We had the 30 Years' War, we had the 7 Years' War, we had a lot of things going on in Europe. And then basically, we find ourselves in a situation where Mahler was born, and I think it was in 1860, right? Yeah, exactly. 1860. And he was until 1911, yeah. So he basically lived in time only during this Austro-Hungary Empire, and this is why it's important for us. Who is a Jew and who isn't? Yeah, think about this atmosphere, it's very, very important. So basically, eventually it arrives to a point where Mahler is... No, because you know, I was a magician in my youth. I still am, actually. I'm still a magician, but I was really active magician. More of this was my job. And, no, really. So I used to have this kind of incident that, you know, the point for later. What's going on? Because this jacket has served me for several occasions. So, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know if you did it. Yeah, we can do it another evening, but it's not... this has... So, this anti-Semitic atmosphere is very important because Mahler conducted a lot in the Vienna State Opera. Yeah? He conducted actually 645 shows, which is a lot. His last show was Fidelio, and after that show he basically dismissed himself. But he dismissed himself after a really, really big anti-Semitic wave in the theater. That was somehow, let's say, they sold it as some kind of a union thing against Mahler, which was a big anti-Semitic force, and eventually he resigned. Important thing that we have to remember, he was born a Jew, but before he got this job in the Vienna State Opera, he converted, which is also an important issue for our symphony. So he converted to Christianity because he thought, first of all, it would help him to somehow establish his position in the city. You know, it's funny, yeah, when you think about it, but it's so naive. But the other thing that is also important to our discussions in a few minutes is the fact that there was a big wave, both in Judaism but actually also in Christianity, that was more, let's call it a nationalistic wave, but from a positive point of view, which was this wave that says, I'm not a Jew, I'm German, or I'm not a Jew, I'm Austrian, or I'm not a Christian, I'm German. And there were a lot of people and a lot of philosophical waves who talked about these directions, which eventually didn't work in the best way. Music basically has no meaning. It means it has all the meaning. Yeah? If I hear a piece, that's just whatever. We can play something. Yeah? If I will ask now you, I'm sure I'm going to get 10 different answers. One will think about his mother, for sure, maybe a young boy. The other one would think about, I don't know, the one is happy, the one is sad. You know, the classic discussion. Then Wagner takes it to this place. Where are we? We don't know. Yeah, so the most famous chord, of course, which philosophically is very important for our discussion, because it means... So Brahms comes and said, no, it's completely different. We are in absolute music, music has its own value. So now we have to ask a question, and I'm actually curious to hear what you think. When we talk about program music, who are we actually talking about? We're talking about us, the musicians, or the public? Which means, do we as musicians need to think about a specific thing when we play a specific melody? Is this for us? Or actually, we don't care about all this stuff. We just play what is written, and it's about what they hear. And the program is important for whom? This is, actually, I want to hear what you think, because I think this could be interesting. So, the first one. What do you think? The program is more important for the musicians or for the public? For the public. Why? Just give me a little bit more of your idea.
Well, because most of the things that we need to do is already is written there, and the public is totally blank. So we, well, just records, just play what's written, and they make up their own story. And they can make different stories, so we don't need to oppose one thing. They're all free to...
I will narrow my question. And if we play something that the composer defined as a specific thing. Let's say we play now whatever, let's imagine, Mozart 40th Symphony, and let's imagine that Mozart would write to us, this is for him, I don't know, air on mountains, yeah? Is it important that we both know that, or is it important that only they know that, or only we know that?
I mean, sometimes for musicians it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we cannot perform this beginning of the symphony if we don't read this drei Natur laut, you know, like imagining this atmosphere. I mean, of course, the music has the own rules, how in terms of phrasing, harmony, everything that gives us enough information. You know? But then all of these details of the program gives us the imagination, you know, to perform in a highest level. You know?
Okay, very good. So I don't want to change the page yet, but I will write something that you said, which I think is nice for us, which is the symphony. If we eventually go to the public, we make a statistical, how do you say, questionnaire, you know, and then actually everybody in the public, when we played at the beginning, thought about Dante's Inferno. And we actually thought about beautiful air on a mountain. What does it mean? Actually, they thought about something completely different. Really statistically. 90% got it as a really dark thing, and actually for us it was really so pretty. Yeah? And this is something that Bruno Walter will say in a second. I will quote him. Because what happened is Mahler at a certain point decided to cut this program music. And Bruno Walter says something really nice. Look, and this has to do with all we just spoke. Bruno Walter said, I describes the awakening of nature as, what is the continuation? Probably here. Here. At the earliest dawn. Second movement, flowering chapter. Then we have a set with full sails, Commedia Humana. Then we have a funeral march in the manner, you know, the funeral march in the third movement. Then we have from the Inferno to Paradiso. We have very specific program notes, which eventually it cut out. Now, I want to be back to this for a second, to this absolute music. Then we're going to back to some philosophical things about, to the structural of the piece. The absolute music is very important for us in this moment because Mahler chooses a motive for this symphony. What is the motive of? What is the first theme of the symphony? Someone can sing it? Okay, this is the first theme. Is there a second theme? Is it really a second theme? Is there a really second theme? You know, the definition of second theme has to be something that is, let's call it, almost the opposite of the first. Do you have anything like that? Even in the whole symphony? So, here. So, this is now we're getting actually into the real business of the piece. What is the main theme of the piece? So, you, of course, end up the first melody, but where does it go? Yeah? We don't have the real answer. So, for now, we're going to leave it just as this, that we all recognize, but we will get into it more. Let's try to make some kind of analysis of this symphony. Are you ready for that? A little bit? So, tell me, we have introduction. From where to where? Open the score, let's see. So, introduction is basically 0 to 4. Yeah? What comes at 4? Yeah. Allegro. Let's call it like that so we can recognize it. And we would have the first theme, yeah? Great. What's going on now? Can you see some kind of second theme, or basically are we going to go now immediately to what we call now the intermezzo, let's call it like that, which is the repetition of the introduction, right? Where does it come, this repetition of the introduction? You know, when it's back to 4 quarters again. Which number is that? 12? 12. So, yes. So now I need to a little bit understand what's going on between 4 and 12. Where does this movement, by the 12 for now, this movement actually ends? Can you tell me? Not the last, I'm not looking the answer in the last bar. I'm looking, where is the coda begins? Let's call it like that. Where does the coda begin? Because there is some kind of a coda to this movement, yeah? Did someone say 27? And the trio? The trio comes at what number? More or less 16? Thank you. And then when are we back to the Ländler?
26.
26, thank you. Okay. Now, this movement is actually the most simple of all movements, but because of one reason, because actually it contains the most deepest philosophical argument. And because the philosophical argument is so complicated, the music is very simple, because otherwise it would just be, we would just not understand anything. And here we now start to get to something that is written there, which talks about identity. Yeah? Because you have to think about it. Yeah, we said that Mahler is neither an Austrian and neither a Jew, or both an Austrian and a Jew. And of course he chooses this kind of Ländler to this second movement. Yeah? Ländler, of course, is some kind of, let's call it German, but it's not only German, dance in 3/4. Yeah? But there is one thing which is very, very important here, is the fact that Mahler chooses for this theme of this Ländler basically exactly the theme as the first movement, which is our famous, the famous quarta. But here, I think, how would I write it? Let's just write Q, so we all know quarta. This quarta is going to be, of course, the theme of this whole symphony, but I think here it suddenly gets the first time where it actually puts a very interesting question, yeah? Because this quarta is going to be everything in this symphony, yeah? It was already everything, nature, everything, and we'll get in a second more detail. It's now the Ländler. It's going to be this kind of childish melody later, which becomes the melody of the funeral and the whole Jewish klezmer thing. And then it becomes the end of the piece. Yeah, pam, 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 bim, pam, pam, pam. So basically it's all about these quartas. Only here it's for the first time put in some kind of a political context. Yeah? So this quarta is, let's call it the Mahler issue, yeah? But now it's put into context, because now it's confronted with a real German, Austrian, let's call it for this purposes, real Austrian character, yeah? This kind of Ländler. But he uses his Jewish things, I don't know how to call it, characters inside. So we somehow just take these two social identity, nationalistic things and put it together. We will see where it leads, but for now it's important that you have it in mind, this kind of question. Now we have this di-da-di-da-dam, da-da-di-da-dam, very nice, all nice, and then we get to the trio. I think the trio should have a name, because this is a very special trio. What do you think about Johanna? You like that? Where are we in the beginning of the Ländler? Which tonality is that? A major. Okay, so A major, and now we are in. So it's not the closest, let's call it like that. Here we have 3 F sharps, here we have 1 B flat. Yeah? So we are not the closest, but we are somehow, because A major could lead to D minor, and this is the point. And the parallel tonality of D minor, of course, is F major. So what Mahler does, to take us to this kind of fantastic Viennese party, he actually goes to the parallel tonality of the first movement, which is important for the philosophy of the story, yeah? Because it's like, I would not say it doesn't have to do with the Ländler, but it's some kind of a big contrast to this kind of heavy peasants in the farm, and really the high society, which has more to do with these values, yeah, of nature, of we will get it in a second, because there is nice detail about Mahler I didn't tell you yet, which has to do a lot with this symphony, but we will get it really in a second. So he chooses, of course, the F major, which is close by far, but somehow give us a nice. There is one small thing in this trio, which the trumpet play around number 21. Yeah, bam, 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 and then you answer ti da da di da dam, ya da 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 dam. This minor, yeah, major minor game. This is exactly the story here. Major, it's this very nice moment at number 10. Yeah, this is why you could not answer. Nice. Yeah. 13. Okay, we'll get it in a second. So now we have the trio at G major. Yeah, and we are going to be back to the first theme at number 13. And what is the tonality? E flat minor. Yes. Good. So now look at that, please. Try to take E flat minor, yeah. This is E flat minor, yeah, this is fine. Now, please take a look for a second, try to really observe from far away. We started in some kind of insecure D minor, which is A. Then we finished the D major. Then we started at A major. This is all still very fine because we are in the same family, more or less. We have this moment of the F major, but we are back to A major. Then we start this one in D minor. Like this one, yeah, D minor. And then we go to this nice D major we'll speak in a second, and this E flat minor, which is of course as far as we can go. Yeah? So first of all, try to get a little bit of these philosophical ideas. Why do you think actually he comes back here and he gives us this whole melody one more time, the whole thing, half the tone higher? And no, it's not because he was circumcised, I will tell you already. What do you think? Do you think there could be some, I mean, this is a choice, yeah? This is not a mistake. And also the part in D minor was so special and serious that why does he need to write it again in E flat minor and also give us the indication something a little bit more, let's say a little bit faster than the first one? Why? Give me just an idea. Why do you think it could be? Philosophically, for the story. You must have an idea. I mean, I have at least 20, so...
Is that an irony?
Okay, irony is very good. Yes, I will write that. Irony.
Because I was reading about the third movement, it's actually also let's say a funeral march, but it's not somebody who's been taken to be buried, but it's the animals who carry their hunter.
Yeah.
So it's actually the other way around. So they're actually kind of laughing. So it's not completely only sad.
Yeah, this could be. I mean, you've noticed, I haven't told you this whole thing because I must say, because Mahler decided to cut it out of the programs, I decided not to even speak about it. But I think it does exist in your mind, so it's fine. But it is true anyway that we have some kind of an irony. I mean, we feel some kind of an irony. We can call it hunter, we can call it funeral, it doesn't matter for the moment, but it is irony, this is for sure. But there must be another thing. Yeah? There must be another thing. This is a very strange tonality. Yeah? The E flat minor is very, very far away. Yeah? Very far away.
Changing.
Yeah, this actually I really like. I really think in these directions. Because, you know, Mahler has to do also some kind of a modulation between the E flat minor and back to the D minor, which is very far, yeah? I mean, you can start playing on the piano. And you're back somehow, but it took me, yeah? Okay, so if you want to compose that, it will take at least 100 bars to really make it nice. So instead of that, he just make this really nice moment here, which I like this idea. He basically takes this E flat major, deconstruct it, and make it reappear as a D minor. And I think this is a nice idea, which I see also in this direction, that basically, let's say from 2 points of view, we can look at it as the farthest place, or the farthest person that we think that might be far, is actually very close. It's just about deconstructing for a second. It's 2 bars, yeah? So we don't have to do big modulations in order to really get close to each other, yeah? And the other thing is actually from the other side, that actually something so close as a half a tone, in order to really get united, needs to go through this mess for a second. And I like actually both of them, and I also go in this direction of interpretation, let's call it like that. And then, of course, in 16, the D minor suddenly appears. Yeah? Suddenly appears with another hint of this klezmer music. Now, about the klezmer music, before we just go on, I want to just go back for a second. This is the number 5. Yeah? Now, I don't know how much of this music did you play, but the thing is that we have here 2 things which are very special for this symphony. I already told you a hint that basically the main theme of the symphony is only the quarta. Yeah? This is the only thing that we basically have here. But this is the only moment you can look for that, that actually is written in thirds. Yeah? It's really thirds. Yeah? And I think this is a big contrast, yeah, to this kind of a quarta symphony to write, because we have few moments like that in the symphony where suddenly the third sounds really almost, I would say, dissonant. Yeah, when D comes or with the trumpet play, dee da 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 dee da da. Officially, it's all fine, but it sounds weird because our ears are already get used to this quarta feeling and to all of these intervals that basically suddenly hear something very simple. Even if we don't want, it sounds a little bit weird. Yeah, and I think this is amazing. I mean, that he manages to create some kind of an atmosphere that something so nice sounds weird. Yeah, this is amazing. This is really masterwork. And I really see this one as a really nice klezmer music. I think we have to even exaggerate it more. We will have to play much more rubato in it, and also with the violins we can add some glissandi and make it a little bit more dirty. Yeah, because in this moment you can call it the hunters or not the hunters. It's some kind of a village group playing. Yeah, so we will have to be a village group for a certain amount of time. Now a nice thing. You know, there is an important information about Mahler that for me is crucial for this symphony. Mahler was vegetarian. Did you know that? No, I'm not kidding. You will see now. You will see now that it goes. Yeah. No, it's a serious thing, yeah. And now it's not today. You know that basically everybody are either gypsy, black, gay, or vegetarian. It's not like this anymore. It was in time when vegetarian was not popular, yeah. And the thing is that he chose to be vegetarian, and because this was a philosophical way at the time, yeah. And he decided to do that, which at the time was a big thing, yeah. It was a big thing. I mean, imagine that he would go to a restaurant, not like today, vegan, not vegan. I mean, imagine, yeah, in Vienna at this time, not enough he's a Jew. He doesn't eat already half of the stuff. Now he's also vegetarian. He drinks water, basically, yeah. So it was complicated, but there is a hidden, I think, message behind it, because what is sure, and now it brings us really to this symphony, that the connection that he looked with nature was a real serious connection. Yeah, it was not only musical or philosophical, it was also some kind of a physical connection. Yeah, he really needed to express this way of living. Yeah, this way of I am a person in the nature, in the world. Yeah, not in Austria, because I'm not in Austria. I'm not a Jew. Let's go wider. Yeah? So I'm European, so I'm probably a person on Earth. Yeah? So if Earth is about nature, so nature is my new home, because it's as big as it gets. It can include me anyway, if I'm Jew or not a Jew, Austrian, whatever. Nature. This is the new God. And remember, I don't know if you know, but you know, Nietzsche and everybody talked about this, about these things, about the new who is God, where is God? Yeah, he died, and now nature took place. So this is nature. And this has a lot to do with our symphony, because for me what's important about this nature symphony is not that it's nature, it's that it is his home. Yeah? He basically takes this nature and embraces it. So he writes all this stuff, the song of the birds, all the things, and we'll get into our quarta in a second because this concludes everything. But he also is also a vegetarian. Yeah? He says, I also don't eat meat. So now I also suffer. Yeah? Myself, I cannot enjoy food, but I contribute my part to this war. Now with these ideas, let's go to the fourth movement before we... I have to cut this one, I'm sorry. Let's see if nature still works, yeah. Okay. No, don't worry, but it's fourth movement, because this is of course a little bit the most complicated one. So, how can we call the part between the beginning and number 6? Storm. Sorry? Storm. Just for the conservative, we will call it also introduction. Yeah. Okay. Good. Do we have a first theme, more or less? We have a first theme, yeah? In this movement. Exactly. Which tonality does this first theme comes? Yeah. F minor. Great. This is very important. Yeah. You already understand the idea. So F minor. Yeah. Good. Let's for a second go on. What happened in number 16? we have this thing go on, go on, go on. Then comes number 16. What is that? Is this a second theme? Could be. Yeah. No? Fine. Sorry? Love. Love is always good. So we will call it for now love. And for the conservatives, second theme. Yeah? Good. But I would like to call it a second theme because it is a big contrast to the first one. And also, what tonality is that? Echo. Okay, D flat major. Which of course is some kind of a second theme to F minor. I mean, they have something in common, of course, because D flat major is inside B flat minor, which is the subdominant of F minor. It's really fine. Just one more B flat. Good. So this is our love moment. Then we have what I would call the bridge, but you can call it, again, we can find another name, is, let's call it when he introduces again the theme, let's call it like that, from the first movement. You know where it is? In number 21. Yeah? Now we are back. You remember this? Dum, 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 dum. This was in the beginning, yeah? In the beginning of the first movement. So suddenly it comes back. So we have here the bridge. I will write here from first movement. But can you just tell me if there is a difference of tonality between first movement and this movement? Just let's check in first movement. I will tell you, you can find out. Sorry? Yes. Do you see that? In the second, in the first movement, it's not the number. Yeah. So it is true. It is semitone higher, half a tone higher. It's actually, if you see, because it's generally, let's call it in D minor, and this one is in E flat minor. So you remember? Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Yeah. So we are here. So we have now a very strange bridge from the first movement in E flat minor. This is very, very important. Yeah? Because of course, it's all choices. Yeah? Nothing here is by mistake. So naturally, it must have to do with the third movement. Good. Now what happened in 22? I will give you a hint. What happened in 26? Then we will go back to 22. What happened in 26? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah? Cool. This is, where does it come from?
First movement.
Yes, first movement. First movement. Remember that, pam, 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 and then there is this small break. Good. So, is it the same musical idea? Completely not, right? In the first movement, it's a huge explosion, and here actually it's a little bit more intimate moment, yeah? But it's from the first movement, and this functions as some kind of a fake end. This is an important thing for our discussion, because basically the piece now will, let's call it, finish at number 38, but will not really finish. Now we have a huge storm going until number 38. It sounds like it ends, but actually it doesn't, right? This is the first end of the piece. The piece has two ends. This is the first ending. Something. Okay. I will not give you a hint. You will understand it in a second because it will be. Let's go on. We will come back to that. What happened after 38? First movement, right? So basically the piece sounds like it ends at 38. Very nice. Ends. But now it's not really ends. Now we are back to really back to the first movement. In D minor, perfect situation. With small differences, which I find very significant. First of all, and this you will have to tell me. So we have the yeah, this small thing. In this moment, who plays that? Who plays that in first movement? Sorry? No, this is not yet the trumpet. This is the clarinet, exactly. Good. So this is first movement, this is last movement. You will see in a second the idea. Let's go on. 39. Who played that? Clarinet. Who played it in first movement? Trumpet. Very nice. Let's go on. Now we have the papa, 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 papa. We have one more thing I want to add here. This is something I read somewhere which can be useful. Eccolo. Let me just see the figure here. Ecco. Very nice. So, we have 15, 35, 38. I missed something in 45. Ah, it's not yet. We will get it in a second. Good. In number 40, what happened? We are back to first movement, really as it was, yeah? But now the surprise happened, and in number 41, in theory, we should have that, yeah, if it's really a copy of first movement. But instead of that, comes something else. What comes in number 41? Love. Okay? In love. Okay, so comes love again. You see, but you know, it could have been Moshe, and it's love. So now the nice thing is what happened also with number 42. This is a moment I think is very, very important for the story. In 41 comes again the love motif instead of the pam 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 pam. So let's call it, instead of love for a second, let's call it human. Yeah? Although not humans are not the only people who can love, not the only animals, let's say, that can love, but they are for sure the only animals who can write a symphony about that at the moment. So let's call it human for a second. And what happened in number 42? This is one of my favorite moments and also very significant. What is this? Go for a second back, please, to the undefined moment. You remember, we still have to answer between 21 and 26. Yes. And see what happened 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 before 23. And also 4 before 23. We have the horn screaming, pa 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 pa, ta ti ta 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 ta, and then the trumpet, ti ta ta ti ta ta ti da ta ti da. This is, let's call it the scream of nature. Let's call it like that. But everybody in the nature are screaming basically here. And then Mahler takes that and makes first the human part, and then the nature part. But both are very, let's call it, in love. But we have really a human thing. Also think about it philosophically. This one is played by the cellos. It's a group of people. It's very, yeah, it doesn't have any connotation to the world of nature. Let's call it like that. And then we have the nature, which is played here by the oboe. And this is very important. First of all, oboe is made out of wood, in theory. Yeah. So it's also something. Yeah. It's a wood instrument. Yeah. Before that, we had the horns, dee, da, 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 metal. We had the trumpet, dee, da, 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 and now it's wood. Okay, it's natural. Let's call it like that, yeah? And the oboe plays here, and this I want to just for a second send you back to the beginning of the piece, which is a very, very important moment where the oboes, two oboes, basically scream. This happens before number 1, yeah? They play only that. Yeah? And this has a lot to do because the piece basically starts with some kind of scream, let's call it like that, of the nature. And he gives it, of course, to two oboes, and they play only thirds between them, which is very unique in this beginning. Everybody plays fourth, yeah? Everything is on the quarta, only they play this third. If you remember, the third is connotated to the klezmer, yeah, to this kind of, let's call it folkloristic family thing. And now the same instrument that before scram, you say in English? In the back? Scream? Scream. Yeah, scram. Scram sounds like something you should do for a coffee. You want it scram? No, but it's not. So they screamed, of course. Now it is. So this whole big moment of scream of nature is eventually transformed to one oboe, yeah, to one wooden instrument that plays this beautiful melody. One small detail in the melody that you should notice. Yeah, this jump is fantastic, yeah? It is a whole octave and more, yeah, and more. And this is important only for one small detail. Maybe you're interested in these kind of things, but you know that in the Baroque time, they had a big aesthetic issue about what can you do after a jump. Yeah? So, for example, so now you have to do, okay, because you jump, it's physical. You jump, you cannot jump another one. You have to at least go back a few steps and then jump again. So this is, of course, you know, 2,000 books on one foot. But basically, it talks about the jump and how to somehow cover it. But if you think about basically all the melodies that we know until a certain point, they are all somehow inside this aesthetics, yeah? So, also Mahler in the beginning does play on it, of course, he does. So basically he also somehow covered his ass, yeah, for the musicologist. And he does play inside this scheme, but of course here, so it wants to go back, but actually it doesn't. And I find it so touching, you know, that it's like this big jump. You know, imagine no, not for a cat is not a good example, but for a normal animal to do such a big jump. I mean, you know, and it would probably go down somehow, but it's not. And I find it so touching. This jump is just amazing. But what happened then after the jump? The violins take now. And we start this big love moment. Well, let's give it a name for a second. What's going on in this moment here? We are nature oboe, and this is number, I don't see, my God, 42, exactly, this is the oboe. So the next one will be 43. Where does this moment lead to? Just look, where are we going? Where are we going? Back to the first movement. Exactly. Ta-da-da-da, ta-da-da, the violas, and then pam-pam-pam-pim. 45 is basically, I start here, I know it's not very nice, but it's the only place I have. So 45 is back again to first movement. With a special taste, because it's some kind of a fugue. Yeah, let's call it, or a canon. But what's important that it's a contrapunctual moment, yeah? So I will write CP. Not like CP, like contrapunct, yeah? And this is a choice, yeah, you haven't done it before. The only moment of some kind of a contrapunct that we had was in the third movement for this canon of the but this is very basic. And this is almost the only moment that we start to have some kind of a complex texture between the melodies, yeah, until now it's relatively clear who plays what and when. Now we have a nice quote of the whole first movement, and I have a nice moment happen at number, just 1 second, 41 we had already, exactly. Where's the next page? No? So it doesn't matter. We can do it ourselves. What happened at number 52? Exactly. Yeah? Oh, Dio. Yeah? Where are we here? Which tonality is that? Are we really in A major? Or actually we are in some kind of feeling of D major? What is going on here? What is the chord on the downbeat of 52? Can you analyze this chord? Sorry? No, 52. 52, look at the downbeat. Just the first chord. What is this chord? A major. Is it a 7 chord? Yes. Okay. And then you play. But it's always on an A, yeah? Because you remember, like in the beginning of the symphony, we are always in A, and we have D major, D minor playing around. Good. And we get now to 54, which is in some kind of a D major, yeah? Look at the contrabasses and cellos, yeah? Good. So, let's call it now the second ending. Yeah, let's call it the second ending, which actually leads us to a real ending, with a nice touch of the area of area 57. Let's call it like that. The area of 57, which has a nice chromatic moment, but basically it doesn't change nothing for us for the structure. Yeah. So now we're gonna get into the biggest question for us, important as musicians. Why, first of all, do we have two endings? And what does it actually mean? I mean, what do we have to do with the fact that we have two endings? And what with everything that happened here in the middle? I mean, why? Why does he need to do all of that? What is the reason behind it? Do you have any idea?
Choice.
Sorry?
Choice.
It's a?
Choice.
Yes, very nice, I like that. Yeah. Okay, very good. So, but if we go now in this direction, which is very nice, do we really have a choice? Not philosophically, but what Mahlers says. Do we have a choice or we don't? Do we not have a choice? I mean, tell me what you think before I say what I think.
In terms of philosophical.
Philosophical. I mean, let's say that this is all a struggle. We got to an ending, then we get this thing again, then we get another ending. And it's true that it does speak about a choice, but
first ending would be like dying, and second one is like a resurrection.
Why do you feel that? Because it's the same music.
Yes, but the context in the
Okay, very good. Context is good for us. Yeah. Okay, so you heard what he said. He said basically that for him, he feels that the first ending is more, let's call it a death ending. It's a finish of something, but actually the last ending for him sounds some kind of a joyful ending, although it is the same music, yeah, and the same tonality and everything. Yes, please?
The second ending is D major.
Yeah.
That's where D major means resurrection.
Yes, but also the first one was in D major, yeah? It's important to remember. I mean, the thing is that they are basically the same. Of course, the second one is bigger, and the second one is longer, but it's relatively the same music. But I like these two directions, which are very good for us, because we have one philosophical and one actually, let's call it more musical also, because the context, of course, is something that is very, 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 very musical. I still need someone to say another thing, which I thought about. I want to see if someone...
I mean, even if there is a choice and there are two endings, in the end there is an end, so it's kind of sound.
Yeah. I want to ask a specific question.
But if you look at it in terms of Nietzsche's
Yes?
birth and tragedy, this is the entrance into the reunification with the one, and that would explain then the amplitude of the orchestration of the piccoli being very high with the first one,
Yes.
which is not in the first thing.
Exactly. Yeah, this is very true. I want to go to Nietzsche. I think it's very important for us to talk about him for a second, because of course it has to do. And I want to give you some nice thing to think about in the context of Nietzsche. It's nice that you mentioned it. And we yet haven't even spoken about Freud. But wait, where's my Nietzsche thing? Because this is really fantastic what's going on with Nietzsche here. Eccolo is coming, Where is Nietzsche? Here. So, listen to that. It's amazing. He just said that. But this one is actually coming from Bruno Walter. Listen to that. So Nietzsche, in his Birth of the Tragedy, says that the music spreads around itself sparks of images. So it is actually in its nature to evoke images in the listener's mind, which are different than the ones in the composer's mind. So now I'm going to take what you said a step further. What we began, you remember, we began the conversation about that. What does the composer think, what we as musicians think, and what actually the public eventually gets. And look what Bruno Walter says about Nietzsche, what Nietzsche says basically. Think well about these words. The music spreads around, which has a lot to do with this ending, spreads around itself, sparks of images, not words, images. So it is actually in its nature, music's nature, to evoke images in the listener's mind, which are different than the ones in the composer's mind. So I must say, I think this is even some kind of an experiment, in a way. I mean, imagine the first people who hear it, come to the public, they never heard anything before, and they only come here. So they basically think this first ending is an ending, So they also somehow open themselves to the ending, So they are really in the ending. And then, of course, everything gets somehow deconstructed. So what happened now? The image of this ending in their mind is now completely destroyed. Yeah, they now have a really different image of this ending. But that's what happened. It comes again. Yeah. So this is actually some kind of a musical realization of the process that the listener should have in mind. He listens to that, then he says, "Oh shit!" Then this whole thing becomes in some kind of a context. Yeah. And then he hears it again. So then he hears it again and he thinks, so what does it mean? What did I hear before? So now it's another ending. Maybe after that is going to come another moment of a different context. And I think this is really, really interesting. I mean, if you think about all the things that we actually talked about tonight, this is really an interesting conclusion to this whole thing. I want to go back and actually conclude in the smallest but the biggest important thing. What is the theme of the symphony then, musically? Yeah, because we said we don't really have never a first theme, never really a second theme. It all sounds the same. So what is the theme? Yeah. Yeah. So we are all back to that eventually. So Mahlers sits on his piano or on his accordion and plays the quarta. Yeah. Okay. And from this whole thing comes out. But what actually a quarta has inside it? And now I think the nice thing comes out of it because it really concludes the whole idea of the symphony. He didn't choose it by mistake. What is a quarta? It's the opposite of a quinta. Yeah? It is the basic of music, let's call it like that. It's really the basic intervals because it's one enters inside the harmonics of the other. So basically it is somehow the same note. Yeah? Between D and A, you know this thing. When you do the piano, look, I play only A's with the pedal. I planned other 2 million things that we didn't get to, but I think this is actually enough. I think you got my ideas, and thank you very much for listening.